Hello, ladies and gentlemen, Root Beer here, and I'm going to be starting another Galois contest. So that's the grade 10 written contest. This time it'll be the year 2013 paper. So if you're new to the channel, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through the contest one question at a time. The Galois paper has 4 questions, so we'll do question 1 in this video, 2, 3, and finally 4 in the last video. We're just going to take a look at the questions. I'm going to go through them. I haven't seen them beforehand. So you'll be getting sort of my honest opinion, or what I think is more important, my initial reactions. That way you can sort of see how somebody who does a lot of these contests makes the connections between what is being asked and the process by which we get our answers. I'm not always efficient, and I don't always line up exactly with the way they do things, solutions that Waterloo posts online. So you can also read those solutions, and you can maybe get a different story or a different technique if you really want to sort of round out your knowledge of math contests. But I usually find my way to the answer reasonably well, as you'll find out. But as I say, it's the 2013 paper. If you want a copy, and I do highly recommend you get a copy to practice, you can click the very first link down in the description below. It'll get you a paper that looks something like this. So 2013 was actually the 50th anniversary of the university, I think. Just the University of Waterloo, not to say the math department. I think the math department's a little younger, obviously. But most of the contests that year had this nice little 50 years logo on it. Kind of nice. So as I said, it's grade 10 Galois paper. If you're interested in trying it out for yourself, a couple things to note. You get an hour and 15 minutes. As I've already said, there are 4 questions. Every question is worth the same. And this can be important when you're planning what questions to do. So usually question 1 is the easiest, then 2, then 3, then 4. You don't want to dive right in and just try question 4 and waste all your time on what is arguably the hardest contest question when you get just as many marks from doing question 1, the easiest question, correctly. Okay, so it's something to keep in mind. Usually you want to progress 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. Okay? You can vary that up if you notice, say, question 3 is a concept you absolutely are terrible at, but you think you have a shot at question 4. But usually you go 1 through 4 in that order. Other things to note, there are 2 types of question, the light bulb and the written answer questions. Light bulb, you just need the final answer. And the written solution one, indicated by the hand with pen to paper, you have to justify everything, you have to explain everything that you use. I'll let you read through those instructions if you would like to, but we're going to get into question number 1 in this video, which we can see has 4 parts, 2 light bulbs and 2 written parts. So 1A, find an equation of the line that passes through the points 2, 0, and 0, 4. Alright, well, equations of lines, that's not bad. First you need the slope. And the slope is what? y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Well, fortunately they gave me some points. What were those points? 2, 0, and 0, 4. So I might say 4 minus 0 and 0 minus 2. 4 over negative 2, slope is negative 2. So now I'm looking at an equation y equals mx, but except m is negative 2, plus b. And then what's that b value going to be? Well, we know, for example, 4, 0 is on our... Well, actually, I was about to say you can plug it in, but 4, 0, if 0 is the x-coordinate, then 4 has to be the y-coordinate, or the y-intercept, so we know b has to be 4. So our equation is going to be minus 2x plus 4. If you want to, you can check that the other point 2, 0 is also on this line. It is. Now what I've put a box around is all we need to do. It is a light bulb question. We can get our 2 marks or our 3 marks just from writing that. But if you're ever worried, you can always write just a little bit of other stuff. And that way, if you get the wrong final answer, but you show your work, you might get a part mark or 2. Okay, B part. Rewrite the equation of the line from part A in the form x over c plus y over d equals 1, where c and d are integers. Okay, so I want x over c plus y over d equals 1. Well, that means that the only constants are left on the right-hand side. So let's bring the 2x, the minus 2x over to the other side. by adding 2x to both sides. And now I don't want a 1 here, I want a 4. So if I divide by 4 on both sides, I'll be left with y plus 2x over 4 is equal to 1. But we can split this fraction up, y over 4 plus 2x over 4. And then we simplify, because we want just y by itself and just x by itself. So y over 4, divide by 2 on top and bottom, you'll get x over 2 is equal to 1. And just to write it the way they wanted it, with the x's first, there we go. And we could even say c is 2, d is 4. Okay, so there we go. And now, so that's B, and I did show my work. I showed my calculations, how I slowly transformed from the answer I got in A to the form that they want in B. C part, state the x-intercept and the y-intercept of the line x over 3 plus y over 10 equals 1. Okay, now there's a nice thing, we could have jumped to this answer just from what they give us in part A, because 2, 0, 2 comma 0 being a point on the line, 2 must be the x-intercept. Just like I saw 4 was the y-intercept, because 0 comma 4 was on the line. And it turns out if you let A be the x-intercept and B be the y-intercept, then x over A plus y over B equals 1 is a nice form of the line. It doesn't come up very often, so not everyone is expected to know that. But if you did know that, anytime you got a line in this form, and this form is unique, whatever the A is the x-intercept, and whatever the B is the y-intercept. And so what's the one that they're talking about? X over 3 plus y over 10 equals 1. So 3, 0 is the x-intercept, and 0, 10 is the y-intercept. So that's a fast way to get an answer there. Okay. Just double checking our equation. But suppose I didn't know that. Suppose I didn't make that connection, or I've never seen that form of a line before, and it's entirely possible. I find most people don't know anything aside from y equals mx plus b in grade 10. So suppose I didn't know that. What would I do? How would I approach C part instead? Well, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is what you find when x is 0. So if I let x be 0, well then I can ignore the 0 over 3, and then I've got y over 10 is equal to 1. Y is going to be 10, and then I can see, oh, that's the y-intercept. And similarly, how do you get the x-intercept? Well, the x-intercept happens when you cross the x-axis, and that's when y is equal to 0. So we get 0 over 10, we can ignore that. X over 3 is equal to 1, multiplied by 3 on both sides. X is equal to 3, and that gives us the x-intercept. So that's another way to get the answer to the question if we didn't know this sort of neat little shortcut form. Alright, but we just need our answers. X equals 3, or x-intercept is 3, y-intercept is 10, because it is a light bulb question. And now D part. Determine the equation of a line that passes through 8, 0, and 2, 3, written in this form, where E and F are integers. Now, we could say, oh, they're giving me the x-intercept, so I can just put that down here. So E must be 8. And then you use the 2, 3 to work out F. Right? So we could do that. I'm not going to, just in case you hadn't seen that form of the line. How would I approach the question normally? We can get 2 sets of equations for E and F. So I'll start at this again because I do want to write this up. Plug 8, 0 and 2, 3 into the equation. Okay. You also don't have to do this. You could treat the question as though they had given us new points in part A. We could get the y equals mx plus b form and then rearrange that. That would work too. But I think I'm going to plug it into the equation they give me. So we'll get 8 over e plus 0 over f is equal to 1. And 2 over e plus 3 over f is equal to 1. Now this one right away turns into 8 over e is equal to 1. So 8 is equal to e. Now I can take that and plug that in here. 2 over 8 plus 3 over f is equal to 1. That's 1/4 plus 3 over f is equal to 1. So 3 over f is 1 minus 1/4, and that's 3/4. Well, cross multiply, you'll get 3 times 4 is 3 times f, or you could just see, okay, f has to be 4. It's got the same numerator, so you're going to have the same denominator, so f is equal to 4. And now, what do they want? Did they just want us to find e and f? They said determine the equation of the line. So x over 8 plus y over 4 is equal to 1. And that's all there is. So we could put a little box around it. But what's more important for D part is that we did show our work. You know, we stated what we're going to do, followed it along here, and then plugged our e value in up here, and continued on down here. As long as we're organized, we don't have to be writing paragraphs of explanation. I wrote one sentence that said, here's what I'm going to do, and then I did it, and that's all that's required. Alright, so that's question number 1, as I said at the start of the video. Next we're going to go to question 2 in the next video, and then 3, and then 4. So, you know, if you tried the contest out and you don't want to watch 2, you want to skip to 3, or just want to skip to the end with question 4, I will see you there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you around.